Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular board meeting for January. And looks like we're in for an exciting time. Look forward to our kids' performance and what they're going to share with us tonight. But at the beginning of our meetings, we like to start with a moment of silence, and we'll ask you to join with us, please, for just a moment of silence. Thank you. And Mr. Smith, we'll just let you go ahead and start and introduce students and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance first, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, good evening. Thank you. Very delighted to have a group from Northside here today, and we'll get into a little bit more about why we have such a wonderful, large group here. But if y'all would like to stand, and we'll lead the group in the pledge to the flag. Salute. Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good job.
Recently, Northside had a Jet Toy Challenge, and the students here are going to speak a little bit about what exactly a Jet Toy Challenge is. A little bit more than a mouthful, but I also want to introduce our group first. Miss Megan Hightower is one of our teachers, as well as Miss Laura Land, and they're both very passionate and excited about science, and so we're fortunate that they can help lead this for our students. Halen Weitzel was part of one of our groups, Allie Moore, Reese Williams, Ben Nix, Caden Abril Smith, and Kyler Ham. And they were representatives of several teams. We had 3 teams that placed very highly in the competition. And Miss Hightower and Miss Land are holding these jet toys. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit, about these small recycled parts. Maybe they're from an orange pop-up popsicle that makes these cars go. And it's based not just on an idea, but on one of Newton's laws. And the students took the time to understand that. It's about a 6-week unit. We're very fortunate for the support of Board Warner and the monetary support so that we could have enough of these supplies and cars for groups of about 2 or 3 students in a team. So we're going to go ahead and start. Halen, you're the first one.
Hello, my name is Halen Markson. Today we will be talking about Jet Toy. A Jet Toy is a car made out of recyclable materials, poster board, push-pop ends, and straws. The objective is to see how to make it go the farthest with weight and without weight and the longest amount of time.
Hello, my name is Allie. Building a jet toy is very complex. Everything must have exact measurements. When my team first started, I had to measure exactly 7 inches in length to make our axles. Every single part of it is tedious and important. One wrong move and your car will be ruined. Making the car was extremely fun as well. Every time I measured, cut, or even replaced, it was fun. I cannot wait for the county competition.
Hello, I'm Reese, and my group scored 3rd at Northside. It took a lot of work on most of the nozzles. Just deciding what nozzle to use is the hardest part, because the large isn't going to go as far, the smallest goes far, and the middle is in between.
Hello, I'm Ben, and I'm going to talk to you about adjustments you can make with your jet toy. If your car doesn't go straight, take a ruler, press it against the axles to see if they're straight. You should also check the straw bearings to see if they're the same length, and that'll help your car to go straight.
Hi, I'm Caden. I'm talking about teamwork. Teamwork is very important in practice. Patience. Making friends in your group is the best. You can't be arguing while building the car. Teamwork is the most important thing.
Hello, I'm Kyler. Jet Toy taught me that you need teamwork, patience, and sportsmanship. We learned about force and motion. Pumping the balloon is the force that makes the car go in motion. Friction slows down the movement of objects. For an example, we tested on a smooth surface, like the gym and the hallways floors, to reduce friction. We learned a lot with our jet toys.
Super job, guys. So just to wrap it up, and this is 6 weeks into 4 minutes up here, but if you can picture these toys or these pieces being in a bag, and they had to perhaps put the tape on it, and they had to see about the different size nozzles, so how much air went into the balloon. You notice one of the pictures up there, there's a certain diameter of the balloon, so you couldn't, figure out I'll get a big balloon. You had to have, everybody had the same size inflation. And then if you saw in there, we used the Gillette Gym and taped that off. And so some of the cars would go along and have to stop in a little box. Some went for distance. And as I think Kyler mentioned, Caden, they may have had to adjust the straws on if it went off course. So lots of adjustments, lots of teamwork, and these representatives had some medals and recognition at the school. And they're excited, as I think Ben and Allie said, that they're looking forward to other schools maybe they can compete against. So we appreciate the opportunity. And one other thing, as maybe a segue, we appreciate the work of Ravenel last year, as well as I think going into this year, setting up a One Seneca Science Night. So we've had the opportunity to enjoy opportunities at Seneca High School on a science night that was set up for all the kids and families to enjoy.
Oh, and by the way, they didn't blow them up with their mouths or anything, just so you know we were sanitary. There are standard pumps
Go
that you
ahead.
use to blow them up with, just to let you know. And they had to remember that the nozzle had to go backwards because the air goes this way, and to make the car go that way. And I kind of had to figure that out. Someone went sort of backwards to start with, and then they remembered, oh yeah, the air's going that way like a rocket going up. So it's Newton's third law of motion that's being illustrated.
I want to tell you too that our students display exceptional sportsmanship in this activity. I'm very proud of the way they behave and cheer each other on even though they're competing.
Good job, guys.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Sportsmanship is half the battle. We had some STEAM professional development for our teachers today, and they did some activities. Whew, it starts with them. My goodness, they're super competitive. But I'm Angie Henderson. I'm the principal at Ravenel Elementary, and I'm going to share with you guys a little bit about my school. I have a PowerPoint presentation. We had a theme this year. Baseball was our theme. Do you have it? Okay. And we started off the school year with the Clemson University baseball coach, Monty Lee. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with him. He came and gave our teachers a pep talk at the beginning of the school year. If you've ever heard him speak, he is super motivational, just a really neat guy. I don't think he gets a lot of publicity because football kind of gets a lot of it now. But he did a phenomenal job. So if you ever had the chance to go hear him speak, I would encourage you to do so. But we're going to kind of use the acronym baseball, and I'm just going to kind of talk through some of the things we've done this school year. And while you're getting there, there we are. So there's our staff with Coach Monty Lee in the front, and we've used Babe Ruth as let me pass these around. These are loose. As a fellow that we quote a lot, and this quote is, "Every strike brings me closer to the next home run." So we're trying to teach students that it's okay to take a risk, because when you take a risk, then eventually you're going to be successful when you learn from those risks, just like you guys learned with the jet toy experiment. So you can go to our next slide. So we're going to talk about, it's all about that baseball, and that's going to be our theme for this PowerPoint. The next slide is B for baseball, and we have enjoyed our new building this school year. It's been wonderful, our new construction. We got a brand new cafeteria and gym, like you guys at Northside, and we have just utilized it every second. We just absolutely love it. I can't express that enough. And we go back to the old space, we're like, how did we do lunch in this little B space? So we're excited to have that and utilize that. A stands for accelerating reading, and that's something that we always strive to do at Ravenel. But I just wanted to kind of touch on some highlights this school year. This is an AR celebration, and we encourage our students to set goals and reach those goals. And this particular celebration was after the second 9 weeks, and we had 360, I think, that met their goal, and they were decorating cookies and getting to eat those. So that was a fun time. The next one, we had an International Literacy Day where we had speakers come in and read books in their native language. So we had several guest speakers that came in and read in Spanish or French. And speaking of Spanish, we have started a program this year during our Related Arts time where every student pre-K through 5th grade is learning Spanish 1 day a week during their Related Arts time. So. This was also something really fun that we did for the first time this year. We had student-led parent conferences around their John Collins journals. John Collins is a new writing initiative, of course, that we're doing in the school district. And we had the parents come in and the students walked them through their journal entries and talked about what they were doing with John Collins and what it meant, what the language meant, what is an FCA. And that was a lot of fun. And at the end, if they went all the way around the bases with their parents, they got to enjoy some popcorn. All right, and we always have our crazy book character parade to celebrate reading as well. This is the front office staff and some of the Related Arts teachers dressed up as the Wizard of Oz. And that's Mr. Farmer as Dorothy. So. Okay, and S in baseball's first STEAM training. We had that today. So this is fresh off the press. Brad Putman from Clemson University, he's a civil engineering professor, came and spoke to our staff and had them do similar projects like you guys did with the jet toy, just to kind of help them explore different cool problem-solving activities that they can do in their classroom. That was a lot of fun. E is for external outreach. So we really try to build in the community into our school. This was our Food Lion Math Night. This is the second year that we've had that. We do a scavenger hunt in the grocery store, so our entire school takes over Food Lion, and we set the kids out to do a scavenger hunt where they have to build, they have a budget, and they have to create a meal based on their budget with their family members, so that's really fun, and it can't be all cinnamon buns. We got to have Grits for Grands in our new space this year. Had over 500 grandparents that came and celebrated breakfast with their grandbabies all on the same day. So that was a lot of fun as well. We had a lot of folks in and out of our building. And then, of course, Veterans Day. This is also one Seneca initiative that we do each and every year. But every elementary school, Blue Ridge, Northside, and myself, we have breakfast, a slideshow, and then our chorus generally performs. And then we have a big celebration at the middle and high school. And Career Day. This year, Career Day took a little different spin. We definitely invited our standard guys that come to Career Day, such as firefighters and police officers, but we try to reach out to some of those non-traditional careers that really pull in technology, some careers that students may not often think about, such as the visual arts, or we had a guy from Clemson University that works in the graphic department there and how they build in their hype videos that they have at the games, things like that. So it was a really fun Career Day building in those STEAM concepts. Okay, and B stands for PBIS. Student behavior is very important at Ravenel, and we always try to enhance it every year. We had one new celebration this year where we allowed teachers to donate items, and students could pay with good behavior. So they use their tickets that they earn for good behavior to pay to get into this celebration where they could purchase presents, Christmas presents for their family members. So trying to teach them that intrinsic motivation and how it actually feels better when you give to other people, and it's not always about receiving. So they earned the right to give, and it was really cool. Every student in the entire school, just about, got to go and shop for their family, and we wrapped the presents and really got everybody in the Christmas spirit. All right, and celebrating student behavior, we also have our Cool Cats of the Week. And since we have the baseball theme, we've partnered with Clemson University, like I said, and Seth Beer, Jake Higginbotham. Those guys come every single Friday to our school and have lunch with the students that are selected for good behavior for that week. So we've really enjoyed. Of course, now they're kind of starting to practice, so we're having to shift to a different sport that's not necessarily practicing, but we've really appreciated those guys coming. And then A is for Arts. Obviously, Ravenel is a big school of the arts, and we always celebrate arts on the green, but I wanted to highlight something new that we did this year. We have a new music teacher, Jessica Thrift, and she's done a phenomenal job. We had our first drama musical, I guess you could say, and her husband is an exterminator, so he got his company to donate the Bugs Christmas performance to us, and so the kids got all dressed up as little bugs, and she opened it up to the entire school, not just the chorus, and so it was really great to see some of our kiddos that normally don't get out in front of everyone shine that day, so that was a great performance. And then our last two L's, lifelong learners. We try to encourage everybody, every student and teacher at our school to be lifelong learners. And another Babe Ruth quote is, "You can't beat the person who never gives up." So if you're defeated over and over again, you learn from those mistakes. And some of the most successful people in life are the ones that have failed over and over again and learn from their mistakes. So thank you so much for allowing me to share a little bit about Ravenel. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, Ms. Henderson, thank y'all for what you do every day. It's a challenge, I know, we appreciate it. Thank you, students, for being with us and sharing with us. And invite us down when you're going to have another race so we can, if we can, some of us will come down and see it. I'd like to do that. Thank you.
Now you're not going to have an audience.
I tell you what, can I get y'all to stay for 2 more minutes? Because we need an audience for the next section. No, we do.
Nobody else?
Just 2 minutes is all I ask. No, January is School Board Member Appreciation Month. And it's just an opportunity for school districts across the state to say thank you to their school board members. Because unlike the 5 of us on this side of the stage, these guys don't really get paid. This is not a full-time job for them. We get a paycheck for what we do. That's why we're here. We love what we do, but we do it. We love what we do. We probably wouldn't do it for free. We'd have to do something that did pay us. These folks are just really giving of their time. And they do a lot for our school district. They do a lot for our students. And I can say without any hesitancy that all 5 of these people are here because they love students, they care about students, and they want to see the school district do right for students. And I appreciate the leadership, the harmonious leadership. If you read about school boards across our state, it's not always harmonious. There's a lot of conflict and strife. Our school board members get along very, very well. They make decisions based on students and families, and they do a great job, and we're very fortunate to have them. So we do have a small token of appreciation. Ms. Vanna White here is going to help me hand out a little present.
Thank you. We appreciate what you do.
Anyway, I just wanted y'all to hear and be able to help me thank our school district. Okay, and I didn't check my email right before the meeting, and Mr. Hamby did. Mr. Roberts just announced that Seneca High is a finalist for Palmetto's Finest again. They just got that news this afternoon. So
Thought that'd be nice to share.
So that's a good thing. And anyway, so we appreciate all 5 of you.
Tell them what's on that plaque we signed.
Sure.
What it's about.
The School Boards Association, Ms. Gibson can show that, but the School Boards Association asked school boards across the state to sign this document just saying that we abide by ethical principles, and our school board certainly does that, so they've all signed that, and we're going to send a picture that we took just before this meeting back to the School Boards Association for them to post on their website, and we'll probably let it find its way to our website too. But again, we do thank each and every one of you and appreciate your leadership and your concern for our students. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all for staying.
Now if you need to get home. Oh, yeah, I can. And just for the benefit of you school board members, TJ was here a couple of meetings ago. We do have Matthew Rowland here with us tonight. He is taking an education class down at Erskine. He was a star basketball player at Walhalla High last year and is now playing on the freshman team at Erskine, correct? So we're proud of him, and he's here for an education class requirement tonight.
Way to go, Matthew. Okay, do you have anything else?
That is it.
Then we get a motion to approve tonight's agenda for the January 17 regular meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda for the January 17, 2017 regular board meeting.
Second. A motion and a second. Anybody see anything that needs addressing? Hear none, all in favor? It's unanimous. And the next is public comment. No one signed up? Okay. For that, then we'll move on to approval of minutes. Exhibit number 1. It was the December 12th session. If we can get a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead, buddy.
Go ahead.
I move the minutes of the December 12th work session be approved as submitted.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Anybody see anything that needs addressing? Hearing none, that all in favor? That is also unanimous. And then the instruction update, Ms. Hopkins.
So we wanted to make you aware of some new funds that we're going to be getting in the district here shortly. These are IDEA or special education funds. These are coming to us from the State Department as a result of a settlement of a lawsuit between the federal Department of Education and the State Department. A few years back, it was determined that the state had not fully funded IDEA at the level of maintenance that it needed to. And so the monies that we are going to receive are part of the settlement funds from that. There's really 3 tiers to the funding that some districts will get. All districts are going to get a portion of what they call the Tier 1 funding, so that's the money that we will get. Then there's some money in Tier 2 that targets high poverty districts in particular, and then Tier 3 funds go to those schools that really have some serious challenges. So we will not be seeing Tier 2 or Tier 3 funding, but we will, over the next 3 years, 2.5 years now, we'll have about $642,000 of additional funding. Now that cannot go into the general fund for just general usage. I want to be clear about that, so that doesn't fix some of the budget woes. However, it is to address a number of performance indicators that relate to special education, although our general population will benefit from those funds as well, because really part of the goal is to prevent students from having to have special education services through RTI-like programs and things like that. So we've worked on a plan, and we being quite a good group of folks that has a few components, we've submitted that plan to the state, and hopefully we'll get approval from that shortly. And I just wanted to help you know what that plan involves. One of the things that we'd like to do is add a special education program to our high school level. It's an intensive teaching class. We have intensive teaching at both the elementary and middle school levels, but we've had students that have progressed and still need programs that really are of that intensity. And so we're hoping to start that program up as soon as we get that funding. Right now our plan will be to house that program at Oconee Academy for the rest of this year, and then hopefully if Mr. Garrett can find some space for the program, move it to Walhalla High School next year. So we're excited for that because we do have some students that will be better served by that program.
This money has to be above and beyond what we're doing now.
Right.
It can't supplant.
Definitely
something
can't
that we're doing.
supplant. Supplement, not supplant.
Do you have some leeway in the areas that you'll be able to use it in, or is it tied to specific categories?
There's some, like any special funds, there's some really tight guidelines. But one of the next areas that we're going to be doing is really trying to grow our own special education staff, as well as improve our recruiting. You know that we've struggled to fill our classrooms with certified special education teachers. You know that we struggle to find speech and language teachers, those kinds of things. So we've got a number of initiatives aimed at helping some of our staff that might exist, maybe some substitutes that we have or some instructional aides, participate in a project, create activity, but to give them the resources that they need to be gainfully employed and still getting their special education certification.
Can regular, like, elementary teacher, and I wanted special ed
Right.
certification.
They could be part of that
Part of
initiative, right. We've had a number of excellent subs filling in some of our special education classrooms this year that were not special ed certified, but they certainly have a heart for that population, as an example. So they might be the kinds of folks that we would recruit for that as well. So growing our own, it does include some incentives for some hiring, because we do know that we have a hard time getting speech and language teachers into the Project Create program. So it's better for us to try to find fully trained folks. It tends to be more in the Michigan, Indiana, Midwest kind of area that those students are graduating. We actually have two wonderful young ladies that came to us from Michigan last year. So we've got some intensive recruiting efforts, but trying to encourage folks to come here and frankly put some hiring bonuses in there. It's hard if you're trying to relocate to another state to get set up, to put those down payments on the apartments and get them furnished and that sort of thing, especially if you're fresh out of college. So we're hoping that doing things like that will attract some of those folks as well. So a number of initiatives that way. Also wanting to make sure that we've got a good onboarding program and really a good support system for our special education folks when they get here. And so those are the kinds of things that we're talking about with the funding. I'm thinking that there was one more category. Michael, help me. What did I forget? I had it in my head when I walked in the room tonight.
So the program is a major expense. Recruiting and training is
Right.
Professional development.
The professional development, right, would be a big part of it. Another piece that we want to do is support our current special education staff, so and anybody that does special ed knows that there's a tremendous amount of bureaucracy and paperwork. So we are looking at providing 1 day a semester for them to be able to have a sub in the room so that they can get their paperwork done as well. It's just a lot that they have to do that.
Keep
Right.
changing it every
Right.
year.
And then
Federal power.
the third chunk of money really is around our, what we're calling a multi-tiered system of support, RTI. If you've heard of RTI, Response to Intervention, that's a model that's focused on only the academic intervention. As I said, what we want to do is keep kids from becoming identified. Multi-tiered system of support looks at what are their social and emotional needs, what are their behavioral situations, and so trying to deal with the whole child, and in many of those situations do result in them becoming identified. So there will be a lot of training and some assessments that we need to put in place to help teachers better meet the needs of all children as part of this as well. So it will be funding available to us, like I said, we have up to 2.5 years to spend. We've submitted a plan. We hope to get that approved, and hopefully we'll be able to start using that money shortly. So we just wanted to help you know that that's coming.
And that's the total amount, or is that per year?
No, the 642, I wish. But the 642 is over 2.5 years.
Wish. Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Nice try.
Well, it's nice to be getting some of it back, though. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, that's great, thank you. Anybody have questions? All right, next we have the action item for approval of the staggered start schedule for 17-18. And that was advertised in today's paper, and one of the times. It's out there for discussion. Y'all want to?
Sure. We've talked about this over the last couple of months, and the short of it is this would delay the entry time in the morning for middle and high school students from approximately 8 o'clock right now to 8:30 for middle school, 8:45 for high school. And the purpose of it is to allow the majority of our buses to run 2 morning routes instead of just running 1. More buses running more routes means shorter routes. And that's the reason that we are proposing this. And we feel like overall, while it will create some inconveniences for certain families in our districts, we feel like the benefits that it gives our bus riding students outweigh the inconveniences that some of our families may experience. And it's not, it's not one of those easy decisions that's just positive for everybody, because there are pros and cons here. But again, in our assessment, we feel that the pros outweigh the cons. So that's why we've recommended it to you. Again, as many as 50% of the districts across our state already do this. The State Department of Education Transportation Division recommended this to us. Every time Mr. Grant has recommended or has asked for, requested a new bus because of routing concerns here, their response is, do a staggered start. That will fix your problems. So it's something that we feel like we need to do, and that's why the recommendation's here. Anything I missed?
We just think that, as Dr. Thorson said, it's best for a number of our students, and I don't think it's going to do damage to anybody. It's going to be opportunities. The schools have worked hard to have things. We talked a little bit last week about the one-to-one initiative will allow those students in high school to have their Chromebooks, and they can do classwork, they can do online learning, they can do all kinds of things, and we just feel like this is best for us as a district.
Let me ask you one question, and I know that you've put a lot of thought into it. I know you've looked at every angle, but in talking about the cons, like the cons that we're talking about is not anything of a major significance, like a child or a student not being able to get particular courses that they want to take, this kind of thing.
No, it should not affect that at all. The cons are really inconveniences, because our middle schools and high schools have pledged to keep their doors open just as early as they're open right now. So it could be an inconvenience that if a parent has to be at work at 8 o'clock and they want to drop their middle school child off, they may have to drop them off at 7:45, and that student has 45 minutes before the first class starts. That's an inconvenience. It doesn't take anything away from that child except that they have to spend a few more minutes at school prior to classes starting. But it would not be, there should be no con that would prevent a child from getting a course they need, or
It'll actually open up some opportunities for early bird and some different things.
We're hoping that as we get, there are more offerings for online classes and dual credit classes. We're hoping that this time in the morning may be used for things like that. If a child does have to be dropped off at 7:30 every morning and they're there for 45 minutes to an hour before classes start, why can't we get them in a virtual school class where they can use that time to take that course daily with their device? So we think that we can overcome the inconveniences with positive opportunities.
I think the one con that I've been thinking about is that a parent may have to go to work before the child is now being placed on the bus. To my knowledge, that would probably be the only con that I could see.
And that would only be middle and high school students who should be able to board the bus.
Because we're still expecting our parents to they can still drop those kids off next year, just like they're doing right now.
Correct.
And something will be provided for them.
And that happens now with folks who work at Itron and have to be there at 7 o'clock for shift change.
And I think we need to also make it clear to everybody in the audience that it's not a guarantee 100% reduction of all our 2-hour trips. In other words, we have no guarantee that it's going to resolve all of our issues.
We don't.
We could possibly still have some runs that could be long simply because of where the
mileage
or
distance will
the distance is going to be.
But we can minimize the stops on the way.
Right.
What we can guarantee is if we take every child who rides a bus right now, the number of minutes they're on the bus, and divide that to get an average, we can confidently say that next year that average will go down.
Okay.
You're right. We can't say that every child's number will go down, we can say the average student bus ride will go down next year.
Well, the students that live in Mountain Rest, Long Creek, the only thing you can do, if you reduce stops, that will make, and I think, we should do everything we can, because if I rode a bus as long as some of our routes, I wouldn't be a very happy student when I
But reducing
ride.
routes will take time. If you've ever been behind a school bus in the morning or afternoon and you see that red light come out, that takes, a good minute or so every time that bus stops. So it will.
But if you can just reduce a few of those stops, that's gonna help some.
It will.
And what we'll do is, if you approve it, we'll report back once we get the routes laid out and that, because it's going to take Mr. Grant and his department quite a while to do this and lay it out, knowing the number of buses we have and trying to cover the routes and things. So we will definitely report back like we did with the information on travel time and distance and those kinds of things. I did get a call in my office today from a lady who wanted me to let you know that she was happy that it was up for vote and hopes that it passes, because she has an elementary and a middle school, and she thinks it'll be an advantage for her family as they drop them off at one, and she has 2 in an elementary school and 1 in a middle school, and she liked having a little bit more time to be able to do this, so they weren't so rushed every morning. So there was one that called and voiced that.
And half of the students, the elementary, has no effect at all. Nothing changes
it's not
with the elementary for the staff. And the other is that we've heard comments, well, you're extending the day for teachers, and it is not an extension. They shift their beginning and ending time a little bit, but they still work the same number of hours. Right. So
the ones who will extend their day a little bit are the administrators.
Yeah.
and that, honestly.
When they're there mostly anyway.
Right.
They're early and late.
They're exempt employee.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Well, do we have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I move the staggered start schedule for 17-18 be approved with the provisions, as Mr. Hanby said, it may be after the first semester next year. Give us a brief update on how it's went, what problems we've encountered, and mostly what improvement we've seen in bus ride times. Would end of first semester be sufficient?
I think probably November, December, we'll have a good idea, and we'll get Ms. Gibson to put
I'm going to put it on my calendar now.
note on the calendar for next year so that we remember to make sure that's a board presentation.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, then all in favor? It's unanimous. Okay. And wow, the only other thing is Ms. Williams in executive session.
But she has quite a lot.
Personnel items she saved up for us from last week. So we have a motion to go into executive session for employment recommendations and changes.
I make a motion, we go into executive session for employment recommendations and changes.
Second.
One second, all in favor? It's unanimous.